Video I'm going to show you how to make all of the puzzle pieces or the part files for your puzzle cube project. The one I'm going to start with is this green piece here. So all of these three layers are your puzzle as if it was pulled apart into three different sections, so you can see the inside kind of back pieces. So if we didn't draw it separated, these 8 pieces would kind of be unknown and we wouldn't know what was going on. So what we're first going to do in Autodesk Professional is we're going to go to New and we're going to use a part file. The one we're going to be using is Standard. Okay. So we can either double click on this or you can make sure it's shaded and then click on Create. Either one will work just fine. Alright, just takes a second to load. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is create a 2D sketch. You're going to click on the icon, not the drop-down menu. If you click on the drop-down menu, it shows you 2D sketch and also a 3D sketch. For this class, we're not going to be using 3D sketch at all. If you want to play around with that on your own, that's fine, but we're not going to be using it in this class. So you just need to click on the icon, so then you don't have to worry about the drop-down menu. So for starting, I like to start on the XY plane because that is our front face. You can kind of see that front lines up right here on this little gray cube, and that is our XY plane. So when I click on it, you can see that it changed to front. The nice thing about this little cube is you can kind of change your orientation. Okay. So that'll be a little bit more handy when we have more of a shape instead of just a plane right now. So what I'm going to do first is kind of draw this C shape, and the first technique I'm going to show you is subtractive method. So what I'm going to do first is draw a rectangle, and I'm going to make sure the rectangle, and again for this one, if you click on the drop down menu, you get a whole bunch of options. If you click on just the icon, you get whatever option is selected. So for this, I have a little yellow dot for my cursor, little yellow dot for the origin. When those two connect, you can see it turns green. So I'm going to click on it when it turns green, and then there's 2 ways you can enter in the dimensions. I'm going to teach you one way right now, and then I'm going to show you another way next. So for these, each individual cube, for these little cubes right here, they're going to be 0.75 inches, and I have 2 of them across, so I can actually just type in right here 1.5, and then if I press tab on my keyboard, it switches to the other one, so I can switch back and forth. So whatever one is highlighted blue, that's the one you are currently on, and when you type, that's the one that's going to change. Okay, my next one is 3 tall, so it's going to be 2.25, and actually I'm going to show you another neat thing. We can just type in our height for just one times 3, and then it automatically adjusts to our dimension. And then we can press home on our keyboard, and that zooms in or zooms out, and it just shows you what your object is all at once. So now I'm going to finish sketch and extrude. Alright, since there's only one sketch and there's only one shape, Autodesk automatically knows what you want to extrude, but it really doesn't know the size, so it always starts with 1 inch. So I need to make sure I change that to the distance of one of my individual blocks, which is 0.75, and then I can click OK. So right now we just started by making kind of a chunk. So this obviously isn't our shape yet, because we have a block that's missing right there, an extra block right there. So we're going to start with the subtractive method of doing this. So we're going to start our sketch. I'm going to put it on the front face. And then I'm going to use project geometry. So again, I'm going to click on the icon, not the drop down menu. Okay, and then I'm going to click on my front face again. Now we have yellow. So this yellow is the dimensions that were pulled, or the information that was pulled from our last sketch, our sketch 1. So now I'm going to add in another rectangle. So we're going to do kind of the same thing before, where when we have our cursor, we want to make sure it connects to the line. For this one, it's not going to turn green, but if you look at it really closely, you can see it kind of gets pulled to the yellow line. So I'm going to click on there and click off to the side. So the other way of dimensioning that I was telling you is you can actually click on your line, click off, and then you can type in the dimension that you want. So we have 3 different color lines here that you can see. We have the yellow, which is our project geometry. We have this blue, this dark blue. The reason for that is it's constrained, so this isn't going to stretch in and out. It might move up and down because of these green lines, but it's not going to stretch in and out. And this kind of neon green color, that's unconstrained, so it can still move around. So I'm going to click across on these 2 green, and then I can type in my dimension. So this is still green. So if I actually click on here and I can move things around, oh, still in the dimension tool. Okay, so I can still move things around. It's stuck to this edge. It can't really move across, but it's not quite where we want it yet. So what we can do is click on this green line, click over here, click off to the side, and then another neat trick is you can actually click on one of your previous numbers if it's going to be the same number, or you can do an equation if you need something else, and then just click OK. So the nice thing about linking these together is if I change this number, this other one changes automatically too. So for this project, not super helpful, but it might be helpful later on for some other thing that you're working on. So now that I have this little chunk that will be a different color later on, ready to be removed, we can finish our sketch, extrude, and click this part. You can see before it picked it automatically. Now since we have this C section and that one block, you got to pick which one. And I want to use cut. You can see that it flips automatically. Sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you're going to have to flip the direction yourself. And then our distance is correct. It'll pull whatever dimension you had for your last extrusion. Again, because we're doing everything 0.75, typically it's going to have the dimension you need it to be. Okay, so that was the subtractive part. Now for the additive part, we can actually just flip this around, and we're going to add this little green block right here. So we can start our sketch, use project geometry, and the nice thing about this for our rectangle is we can actually go to this corner, go to this corner, and you can see how everything is already blue. So everything is already dimensioned because we're referencing our last sketches, and it's being linked into those exactly. So we can finish our sketch, extrude, and again you got to tell it what to extrude, so you can click on that. And also if you have more than one thing you need to extrude, you're going to need to make sure you click on all of them before you change this dimension. If not, you're going to have to cancel what you're doing and then try again. So now we can click OK. And I can click on this little house to bring it back to our origin, or our original setting there, and you can see that we have the same piece. So these 3 at the bottom are these 3, this one in the middle layer is this one, and these 2 at the top are these 2 at the top. So last thing we can do now is change our color to green. So if you go up here, we have default, and that's gray. We don't want gray, we want green. So if you click on it and then scroll down, you'll have a lot of colors to choose from. So depending on what you're doing for your colors, you can pick different ones that help with your project. So I like to use the ones that are in smooth just because they're nice colors with no texture to them. So I'm going to use this one. Close enough in color. Alright, so from here you're going to need to make sure that you save your part. And to do that, you just go to File, and then Save. And then from there, you're going to want to name it something like Puzzle Piece Green or Puzzle Piece 1. You don't want to name it Part 1, because if you name it Part 1, and then you come back another day and then save your next Part 1, you're going to save over your old file, and then you're going to lose it. So you don't want to do that. Okay? So make sure you give it a name other than Part 1 or Part 2, Part 3. Those aren't really helpful. You're also going to lose track of what all those parts are. And it's kind of like the same as if you named your English paper document 1. You're not going to do that, or doc 1. That's not helpful for anyone. So you want to make sure you name it something that will remind you what it is, and also so you don't accidentally save over it. Alright, so in another video I'm going to go through the other few pieces, but this video kind of went over everything you're going to need to make your own parts.